The ticking of the old grandfather clock echoed through the living room as Margaret and I nestled into our worn armchairs, wrapped in cozy blankets. The glow of the fire danced on the walls, creating a comforting cocoon against the biting cold outside. Snowflakes tapped gently on the window panes, a serene lullaby that promised a peaceful Christmas Eve in Ravenswood. Margaret, with her silver hair pulled back into a loose bun, sat in her favorite chair, her knitting needles clicking softly. I, a wiry man with a thin beard, stared into the flickering flames, lost in thought. The town of Ravenswood, with its quiet charm, held the memories of our youth, and each Christmas brought a comforting sense of nostalgia. As the clock neared midnight, we exchanged smiles, reveling in the simple joy of each other's company. Our children had moved away, creating their own lives in distant cities, but Margaret and I found solace in the quiet routine of our twilight years. The warmth of the room contrasted sharply with the bitter chill that awaited outside. The snowstorm had intensified, shrouding Ravenswood in a thick blanket of white. The townsfolk had long retreated to the warmth of their homes, leaving the cobblestone streets deserted. The only sounds were the crackling of the fire and the soft hum of the wind outside. I rose from my chair and walked to the window, drawn by the enchanting beauty of the snowfall. The world beyond our cottage seemed frozen in time, a serene landscape untouched by the worries that often plagued our small town. It was then that the first haunting notes reached my ears, the distant sound of caroling carried by the wind. Margaret looked up from her knitting, her brow furrowed in confusion. "Do you hear that, Henry?" I nodded, my eyes fixed on the window. The carols grew louder, ethereal and haunting, like a melody from a forgotten dream. "Carolers," I mumbled, more to myself than to Margaret. "On a night like this. It's peculiar, but maybe they're just passing by," Margaret suggested, her voice soothing. "People find all sorts of ways to celebrate Christmas." The carols drew nearer, each note hanging in the air like a ghostly whisper. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss, an unspoken dissonance beneath the harmonious facade of the carolers' song. Still, curiosity spurred me to open the creaking door, letting in a gust of icy wind. The scene that greeted us was surreal. A group of figures, draped in tattered cloaks, stood on our doorstep. Their faces were obscured by hoods, and the falling snow seemed to avoid them, creating an eerie halo in the moonlight. "Good evening," I said, my voice carrying a note of unease. No response. The figures stood silent, their masked faces turned towards us. It was as if they had materialized out of the swirling snow, and their presence held an unnatural weight. Margaret, her knitting forgotten, stepped closer. "Are you lost? Do you need shelter from the storm?" The figures remained silent, their eyes hidden beneath the shadows of their hoods. A cold wind swept through the doorway, causing the fire to flicker. The carolers began to sing, a haunting melody that sent shivers down my spine. "Hark! The herald angels sing," they sang in unison, their voices ethereal yet haunting. Margaret's eyes met mine, a flicker of concern passing between us. Despite the beauty of the carol, an unspoken tension lingered in the air. Come in," Margaret urged, stepping back to make way. "You must be freezing." The carolers entered, their movements synchronized and silent. The living room, once filled with the warmth of the firelight, now felt like a chamber of shadows. The mysterious guests took their places, standing in a half-circle as if awaiting some unspoken cue. I closed the door, the thud resonating through the room. The carolers, now gathered by the hearth, seemed impervious to the cold that clung to their cloaks. Margaret, ever the hostess, offered them seats. "Please, make yourselves comfortable. Can we get you something warm to drink?" No response. The carolers remained silent, their faces hidden in the depths of their hoods. Margaret exchanged a puzzled glance with me, but we hesitated to press further. Instead, we took our seats, the uneasy quiet settling over us like a heavy quilt. The fire crackled, casting dancing shadows across the room. The carolers, standing like silent sentinels, began their second song. The melody, though beautiful, hinted at something darker, a resonance that sent a chill through our bones. "Silent night, holy night," they sang, the words hanging in the air like a spectral incantation. Margaret's knitting needles ceased their rhythmic dance, and I felt a knot tighten in my chest. The carolers' voices wove a tale of a town cloaked in secrets, where the silence of the night hid more than it revealed. "Did you hear that, Henry?" Margaret whispered, her eyes wide with a mixture of fear and curiosity. "I heard it," I replied, my gaze fixed on the hooded figures. "There's something not right about these songs." As the last note faded into the silence, the carolers turned their masked faces towards us. Unseen eyes bore into ours, and a sense of judgment hung in the air. "What is this?" I demanded, unable to contain the unease building within me. "What are you trying to tell us?" The carolers remained silent, their cloaked forms like specters in the dim light. Margaret, her hand reaching for mine, spoke softly. "Perhaps they're trying to warn us, Henry. Warn us about Ravenswood." I nodded, the weight of realization settling upon me. The carolers were not mere singers. They were messengers of a dark truth, here to unravel the carefully woven tapestry of our town's history. The fire crackled, casting dancing shadows that seemed to merge with the secrets the carolers unveiled. The clock on the wall ticked relentlessly, counting down the hours until the night would reveal its darkest truths. And so began our descent into the mysteries of Ravenswood, a journey that would test the limits of our courage and force us to confront the ghosts that lingered in the silent night. The lingering strains of the carolers' haunting melody still echoed in the air as Margaret and I exchanged uneasy glances. The fire crackled, casting flickering shadows that danced on the walls like phantoms whispering secrets. The silent figures, their faces hidden beneath hooded cloaks, stood before us like silent judges. "Who are you?" I asked, my voice steady despite the unease that twisted in the pit of my stomach. "What brings you to Ravenswood on this silent Christmas Eve?" The carolers remained silent, their masked faces betraying no emotion. It was as if they existed in a world between reality and dream, their presence both ethereal and unnerving. Margaret, ever the voice of reason, spoke up. "If you have a message to deliver, please speak. We are but humble residents of Ravenswood." A pregnant silence hung in the air. The fire crackled, its warmth unable to dispel the chill that seemed to emanate from the hooded figures. Finally, one of them stepped forward, a shadowy hand reaching up to lower the hood. The face beneath was not what I expected, featureless, as if carved from the darkest corners of the night. No eyes, no mouth, just an abyss that seemed to absorb the feeble light in the room. Margaret gasped, her hand tightening around mine. I felt a shiver crawl down my spine, and for a moment, time itself seemed to freeze. The figure with the featureless face spoke, its voice a soft murmur that sent ripples through the stillness. "We are the keepers of Ravenswood's secrets," it said, the words carrying an otherworldly weight. "Tonight, the sins of the town shall be laid bare, and you, dear residents, shall bear witness." The other hooded figures nodded in unison, their silent approval sending a wave of dread through the room. Margaret and I exchanged a glance, our unspoken communication echoing the shared apprehension that lingered between us. "Secrets?" I asked, my voice edged with a mixture of anger and fear. "What do you mean? What sins are you talking about?" The featureless figure raised its shadowy hand, pointing toward the window where the snow continued to fall in delicate spirals. "Ravenswood may appear quaint and charming, but beneath the surface lies a tapestry woven with lies, deceit, and buried sins. Tonight, we shall unravel it thread by thread." The realization struck me like a bolt of lightning. The carolers were not here by chance. They were agents of revelation, here to expose the darkness that clung to our town like a malevolent shadow. Margaret, her eyes wide with a mix of dread and curiosity, spoke softly. "We deserve to know the truth. Tell us, what secrets do you speak of?" The featureless figure turned to face us, its gaze penetrating despite the absence of eyes. "The songs we sing are the echoes of Ravenswood's past, each note a key to unlock the hidden chambers of your town's history. Listen well, for the revelations are both a curse and a blessing." With that cryptic proclamation, the carolers resumed their places, standing in a half circle as if preparing for a ritualistic unveiling. The room, once warm and inviting, now felt like a chamber of judgment. The fire crackled, casting an eerie glow on the masked faces before us. The featureless figure raised its hand, and the next song began, a haunting melody that seemed to resonate with the very walls of our cottage. "O come, all ye faithful," they sang, the words taking on a spectral quality that sent shivers down our spines. The carol seemed to echo from the walls themselves, as if the very foundations of Ravenswood were singing along. As the carolers sang, images began to flicker in the air, scenes from Ravenswood's past, long forgotten, or purposefully buried. Margaret and I watched in stunned silence as the town's history unfolded before our eyes. The first verse revealed a clandestine meeting in the woods, cloaked figures huddled around a flickering fire. The air was thick with whispered conspiracies, and faces once familiar to us were now shrouded in darkness. The secrets of the forest, the featureless figure intoned, its voice woven into the haunting melody. Whispers of power and pacts made in the shadows. Margaret gripped my hand tighter, her eyes wide with a mixture of shock and disbelief. I could feel the weight of revelation settling upon us, the threads of Ravenswood's hidden history weaving a tapestry of intrigue and malevolence. As the carolers sang on, each verse brought forth another piece of the puzzle. Tales of forbidden love, betrayal, and a long-buried scandal that tainted the very soul of the town. The air became heavy with the weight of sins long ignored, and the fire's warmth seemed to wane in the face of the chilling truths laid bare. The featureless figure turned toward us, its gaze fixed on Margaret and me. "You, dear residents, are the witnesses to Ravenswood's dark past. The question now is whether you will be the harbingers of redemption or the heralds of your own doom." The carolers fell silent, the final notes lingering in the air like a haunting refrain. Margaret and I, still reeling from the revelations, exchanged a wordless glance. The fire crackled, casting dancing shadows that seemed to dance to the rhythm of our pounding hearts. "We need to understand," Margaret finally spoke, her voice a determined whisper. "We need to uncover the truth, no matter how painful it may be." I nodded in agreement, a newfound resolve settling over me. Ravenswood's secrets had been thrust into the light, and whether by fate or choice, Margaret and I were tasked with confronting the shadows that clung to our town. The featureless figure, its hood raised once more, nodded in acknowledgement. The other carolers, their masked faces expressionless, turned as one and filed toward the door. Before the stroke of midnight, the featureless figure intoned, "Unravel the tapestry or face the consequences. The choice is yours." With that ominous declaration, the carolers vanished into the snowy night, leaving Margaret and me alone in the dimly lit room. The fire crackled, its warmth feeble against the cold truth that had seeped into our bones. As the clock on the wall ticked relentlessly, we knew that the night was far from over. Ravenswood, once a haven of nostalgia, had transformed into a battleground between the past and the present, and the choice we made in the hours to come would determine the fate of our town and our own souls. The echoes of the carolers' haunting revelations lingered in the air as Margaret and I stood in the dimly lit living room. The fire crackled, casting dancing shadows that seemed to mock the newfound knowledge that weighed on our shoulders. Ravenswood's secrets, long confined to the shadows, now clamored for acknowledgement. "We can't ignore this, Henry," Margaret said, her voice steady but tinged with urgency. "We have to uncover the truth for the sake of Ravenswood and for our own souls." I nodded, my mind a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. The tapestry of the town's history had been unraveled before us, exposing threads of darkness and deceit. The carolers' enigmatic message hung in the air like a spectral warning, and the choice we faced weighed heavily on our hearts. The clock on the wall ticked away the seconds, a relentless reminder of the impending midnight deadline. The carolers had left us with a task, to unravel the tapestry of Ravenswood's past before the last stroke of midnight or face dire consequences. The choice was clear, but the path to uncovering the truth was shrouded in uncertainty. Where do we start? I wondered aloud, my gaze shifting between the old photographs on the wall and the flickering flames of the fireplace. Margaret, ever pragmatic, suggested, perhaps the town archives. If there are secrets buried in Ravenswood's past, they might be hidden in the dusty pages of old records and documents. I nodded in agreement, a plan taking shape in my mind. The town archives, located in the heart of Ravenswood, held the keys to its history. If there were answers to be found, they would be within those weathered pages. Determined, we bundled up in our warmest coats and scarves, the weight of the carolers' revelations heavy on our shoulders. The night outside had taken on an eerie stillness, the snowfall casting everything a soft glow. The carolers, their haunting presence still etched in our minds, were nowhere to be seen. As we stepped into the frozen night, the door creaked shut behind us, sealing the warmth of our home within. The air was crisp, and our breaths hung in the frigid air as we trudged through the snow-covered streets toward the heart of Ravenswood. The town archives, a weathered building with ivy creeping up its stone walls, loomed ahead. The wrought iron gate creaked open, and we entered the dimly lit room, shelves stacked with dusty volumes that chronicled the history of Ravenswood. The musty scent of old paper enveloped us as we began our search. Each leather-bound book seemed to hold the weight of the town's past, and I couldn't shake the feeling that the answers we sought were hidden within the shadows of those pages. Margaret, her fingers delicate as she turned the pages of a particularly ancient tome, spoke softly. Let's start with the founding years. If there are secrets, they might have roots in the town's earliest days. I nodded in agreement, joining her in the search. The flickering candlelight cast dancing shadows on the pages as we delved into Ravenswood's history. The names of long-forgotten settlers and the tales of the town's humble beginnings unfolded before us. As we combed through the archives, the clock in the corner of the room chimed, a solemn reminder of the passing minutes. Midnight approached like a specter, and the urgency of our task intensified. Then, amidst the faded ink and yellowed pages, we stumbled upon a passage that seemed to pulse with hidden significance. It spoke of a clandestine gathering in the early years of Ravenswood, a meeting in the woods that had birthed an unspoken pact among the town's founders. Margaret's eyes widened as she read aloud. In the winter of our establishment, the settlers gathered under the ancient oak. Whispers of power and secrets exchanged, a pact forged in shadows. I traced the words with my finger, the revelation settling in my chest like a stone. The carolers had spoken of such a gathering, a meeting that had set the course for Ravenswood's dark path. Power and secrets, I murmured, my mind racing. What kind of pact could lead to the haunting melodies we heard tonight? Margaret, her gaze fixed on the passage, replied, It's as if the very foundation of Ravenswood is built upon a bedrock of hidden agreements. We need to find more, Henry. We need to understand the nature of this pact and its consequences. As we continued our search, the flickering candles casting long shadows around us, the archives seemed to come alive with the whispers of the past. Each revelation was a piece of the puzzle, a thread in the tapestry that connected the present to the shadows of Ravenswood's founding. The clock's ticking became more pronounced, urging us onward in our quest for truth. We discovered tales of forbidden romances, of loyalties tested and betrayed, and a lineage tainted by the choices of long-dead ancestors. The darkness that clung to Ravenswood's history seemed to seep into our very souls as we unearthed secrets buried for generations. Then, as the final chime of the clock resonated through the archives, we found a weathered journal that spoke of a curse, a consequence of the pact made under the ancient oak. The curse, it seemed, manifested on Christmas Eves, a spectral reminder of the town's tainted origins. Margaret read aloud, her voice steady but tinged with sorrow. On the silent nights when the clock strikes midnight, the spirits of Ravenswood's past shall rise, revealing the sins and secrets that bind the town. Only by unraveling the tapestry of lies can the curse be broken. A cold wind seemed to sweep through the archives, extinguishing the candles and plunging the room into darkness. The clock, its hands frozen at midnight, echoed the silence that enveloped us. Midnight, Margaret whispered, her words barely audible in the blackness. The caroler's deadline has passed. What have we uncovered, Henry? The room remained shrouded in darkness, and the weight of revelation settled upon us like a suffocating fog. Ravenswood's past, unveiled in the flickering candlelight, demanded acknowledgement and resolution. We need to face the consequences of our town's history. I said, my voice steady despite the uncertainty that gripped my heart. Only by confronting the shadows can we hope to break the curse that binds Ravenswood. Margaret nodded in agreement, her hand finding mine in the darkness. As we stepped out of the archives and into the silent night, the snowfall had ceased, leaving the streets of Ravenswood cloaked in an eerie stillness. The carolers, their haunting melodies no longer echoing in the air, were nowhere to be seen. The tapestry of Ravenswood's past, now laid bare, seemed to ripple with an energy that transcended time. The choice we faced was clear: to embrace the shadows and seek redemption, or be consumed by the curse that lingered in the silent night. The clock in the town square struck midnight, its echoing chimes signaling the passing of another hour. Margaret and I, having left the archives with the weight of Ravenswood's history heavy on our shoulders, stood in the silent streets. The carolers, mysterious messengers of the town's dark past, were nowhere to be seen. The snow crunched beneath our boots as we made our way through the deserted streets, guided by an unspoken understanding. The air was thick with anticipation, the town itself seeming to hold its breath as we approached our cottage. The warmth of the hearth greeted us as we opened the door, a flickering beacon against the cold winter night. The living room, once a haven of nostalgia, now carried the weight of revelations that hung in the air like a ghostly mist. The shadows danced on the walls as we took our seats, the anticipation of the carolers' return lingering in the silent room. The clock continued its relentless ticking, each second a reminder of the choices that awaited us. As if on cue, the haunting melody began, echoing from the darkness outside. The carolers, their hooded figures materializing on our doorstep once again, stepped into the flickering light of the hearth. Their presence seemed more ethereal than before, the shadows they cast flickering like specters against the walls. Margaret and I exchanged a wary glance, the weight of the revelations from the archives still fresh in our minds. The featureless face of the lead caroller turned toward us, and the air seemed to thicken with the weight of the unspoken. "We have uncovered the secrets of Ravenswood's past," I declared, my voice steady despite the unease that lingered within me. "Tell us, carolers, what must we do to break the curse that binds our town?" The carolers, their voices harmonizing in an otherworldly cadence, began their song. The melodies, though haunting, seemed to carry a newfound urgency, each note a plea for redemption. "O holy night, the stars are brightly shining," they sang, their voices blending with the flickering flames of the fireplace. The air seemed charged with a spectral energy, and I felt a shiver crawl down my spine. Margaret, her eyes fixed on the carolers, spoke softly, "The curse is real, then. We must follow the path laid out for us to break free from Ravenswood's dark legacy." The carolers nodded in unison, their featureless faces seeming to convey a sense of both judgment and compassion. The song continued, weaving a tale of redemption and sacrifice, the very fabric of Ravenswood's existence hanging in the balance. As the final notes of the song lingered in the air, the carolers turned toward us, their silent gaze penetrating to the core of our beings. The lead caroller, its featureless face gazing into our souls, spoke in a voice that seemed to resonate from the depths of the town's history. "To break the curse, you must confront the darkest secrets that linger within Ravenswood," it intoned. "Each song we sing reveals a chapter of the town's past, but only by facing the shadows directly can you hope to find redemption." The weight of the task ahead settled upon us, and the gravity of our choices became palpable. Margaret, her eyes reflecting a mixture of determination and trepidation, turned to me. "We can't ignore this, Henry," she said, her voice a whisper in the dimly lit room. "The carolers have shown us the path. We must confront the shadows if we wish to free Ravenswood from its curse." I nodded in agreement, a shared understanding passing between us. The carolers, their silent presence watching over our deliberations, seemed to convey a sense of both guidance and expectation. The first song spoke of a clandestine gathering under the ancient oak. I began recalling the revelations from the archives. "Perhaps that is where we must start, where the roots of Ravenswood's darkness took hold." Margaret agreed, and with a shared resolve, we prepared to embark on a journey to the heart of the town's secrets. The carolers, their hooded figures parting to allow us passage, seemed to acknowledge our decision with a subtle nod. The night outside had taken on an otherworldly stillness as we made our way toward the outskirts of Ravenswood. The snow-covered ground crunched beneath our boots, and the ancient oak loomed ahead like a silent sentinel, its branches reaching out like gnarled fingers. The air grew colder as we approached the tree, and the shadows seemed to deepen beneath its twisted boughs. The carolers, their spectral presence still haunting our every step, stood at a respectful distance, their hooded forms watching as we faced the looming oak. Margaret spoke, her voice carrying a note of determination. If the curse has its roots here, then it's time we confront the shadows that linger beneath this ancient tree. The carolers began their song once again, the melodies wrapping around us like a cloak. This time, the lyrics spoke of the settlers' clandestine gathering, the whispers of power, and the pact forged in shadows. The haunting harmony seemed to echo the very heartbeat of Ravenswood itself. As the song reached its crescendo, a strange energy pulsed through the air. The ancient oak, its branches creaking in the wind, seemed to come alive with the weight of centuries-old secrets. Shadows danced on the snow-covered ground, and a spectral figure materialized beneath the tree. A voice, ancient and weary, echoed from the shadows. You seek redemption for Ravenswood, yet redemption requires sacrifice. Are you prepared to face the consequences of unveiling the town's darkest truths? The carolers fell silent, their masked faces turned toward us, awaiting our response. Margaret and I exchanged a glance, a silent understanding passing between us. We are prepared, I declared, my voice carrying a weight that mirrored the gravity of the moment. Ravenswood must be free from the shackles of its past, even if it means confronting the shadows and sacrificing our own peace. The spectral figure beneath the ancient oak nodded, and with a wave of its hand, the carolers resumed their song. The melody, now infused with an unearthly energy, seemed to weave a bridge between the present and the town's dark history. As the final notes of the song echoed through the night, the shadows beneath the ancient oak seemed to writhe and twist. A ghostly apparition, the embodiment of Ravenswood's past, emerged from the darkness. The figure spoke, its voice a melancholic whisper. To break the curse, you must delve into the hearts of those who made the pact. Confront the spirits of Ravenswood's founders and unearth the truth they buried in their pursuit of power. Margaret and I, our resolve unwavering, nodded in acknowledgement. The carolers, their silent presence now tinged with a sense of approval, stepped aside, allowing us passage into the heart of the town's history. As we entered the spectral embrace of the ancient oak, the shadows enveloped us, and the echoes of the carolers' haunting melodies faded into the night. The journey into Ravenswood's past had only just begun, and the path to redemption lay ahead, fraught with the unearthly songs of a town haunted by the choices of its founders. The spectral figure beneath the ancient oak waved its hand, and the world around us seemed to warp and twist. The snow-covered ground beneath our feet vanished, replaced by an ethereal dreamscape that echoed with the whispers of ages past. Ravenswood, as we knew it, dissolved into the mists of history, and we found ourselves standing in the heart of the town's founding years. The air was thick with an otherworldly energy as we gazed upon a Ravenswood untouched by time. The settlers, their faces etched with a blend of hope and uncertainty, moved through the cobblestone streets. The flickering gas lamps cast long shadows, and the air resonated with the distant sounds of horses and the clatter of hooves on the uneven ground. Margaret and I exchanged a bewildered glance, our surroundings a testament to the extraordinary power that lingered within the ancient oak. The carolers, their hooded forms standing like silent sentinels, seemed to guide us through the spectral tableau. As we walked through the town, the scenes unfolded like pages from a long-forgotten book. The settlers gathered in the town square, exchanging stories of their journey to Ravenswood and the dreams that had led them there. Children played in the snow, their laughter echoing through the cold winter air. The spectral figure, now walking beside us, spoke in a voice that seemed to weave through the fabric of time. This is Ravenswood as it once was, a town founded on dreams and aspirations. But beneath the surface, shadows lurked and choices were made that would echo through the centuries. We approached a gathering under the ancient oak, the settlers huddled in whispered conversation. The carolers, their ethereal presence now merging with the townsfolk, sang a haunting melody that seemed to transcend time itself. The pact was forged in shadows, a whispered agreement to secure the prosperity of Ravenswood, the spectral figure explained. To understand the curse that plagues your town, you must confront the ghosts of its founders and unravel the choices that stained the very soul of Ravenswood. The scene shifted, and we found ourselves standing before the figures of Ravenswood's founding settlers. Their faces, now revealed in the ghostly light, wore expressions of determination and a touch of desperation. "Confront them, Henry. Uncover the truth," Margaret urged, her voice a soft encouragement. I nodded, a mixture of determination and trepidation coursing through my veins. The spectral settlers turned toward us, their eyes haunted by the choices of Christmas Eves long past. The carolers' song took on a mournful quality, the melodies weaving through the frozen air like a lament. The settlers, their voices now harmonizing with the haunting song, began to reveal the secrets they had buried beneath the surface of Ravenswood's history. A woman, her eyes filled with regret, stepped forward. "We sought prosperity, a haven from the hardships we left behind. The pact promised us success, but the cost was higher than we ever imagined." A man, his voice heavy with guilt, continued, "Whispers of power led us to make choices that stained the very ground we walked on. The curse we unleashed has haunted Ravenswood for generations." The spectral figure turned to us, its eyes reflecting the weight of the revelations. "You must delve into the hearts of these settlers, confront the choices they made, and uncover the buried truths that linger in the shadows." The carolers' song reached a haunting climax, and the spectral settlers began to fade into the mists of the past. The ancient oak loomed before us, its branches casting long shadows that seemed to reach out like fingers grasping for redemption. Margaret and I exchanged a determined glance, the weight of the task ahead settling upon us like a heavy cloak. The spectral figure gestured toward the oak, its voice echoing in the frozen air. "Confront the ghosts of Christmas past, unravel the choices made under this ancient tree, and free Ravenswood from the curse that binds it." With those words, the world around us shifted once again. The cobblestone streets of the spectral Ravenswood dissolved into the snow-covered ground beneath the ancient oak. The carolers, their hooded forms now standing in a semicircle, watched as we approached the looming tree. The air grew colder, and the shadows seemed to deepen beneath the twisted boughs of the oak. The spectral settlers materialized once more, their faces etched with the weight of their choices. "Unearth the truth, Margaret. Confront the past," I whispered, my voice carrying a mixture of determination and uncertainty. Margaret nodded, her hand finding mine as we approached the spectral figures. The carolers began their song, the melodies a mournful symphony that seemed to resonate with the very heartbeat of Ravenswood. The settlers, their voices merging with the haunting song, revealed the choices that had led to the curse that haunted the town. Betrayals, secrets, and forbidden alliances were laid bare as we delved into the hearts of Ravenswood's founders. As the final notes of the song echoed through the frozen night, the spectral settlers turned toward us, their eyes filled with a mixture of remorse and hope. The ancient oak, its branches now casting long shadows that seemed to dance in the ghostly light, awaited our judgment. The carolers, their hooded forms watching with silent intensity, seemed to convey a sense of both guidance and expectation. The choice we faced was clear: to confront the ghosts of Christmas past and free Ravenswood from the shackles of its history, or be consumed by the curse that lingered in the shadows. Margaret and I exchanged a determined glance, our hands entwined as we stood before the ancient oak. The carolers' melodies hung in the air like a spectral benediction, and as the clock struck midnight once again, the world around us seemed to tremble with the anticipation of revelations yet to come. The haunting melodies of the carolers lingered in the air as Margaret and I stood before the ancient oak. The spectral settlers, their faces etched with the weight of their choices, faded into the mists of history. The carolers, their hooded forms standing like silent witnesses, seemed to beckon us to unravel the threads of Ravenswood's dark past. As the clock struck midnight, the air around us shimmered, and we found ourselves standing in the heart of Ravenswood once more. The town square, now veiled in the soft glow of gas lamps, appeared as a quiet tableau frozen in time. Margaret and I exchanged a glance, the weight of the revelations from the spectral journey still fresh in our minds. The carolers, their presence a constant reminder of the task that lay ahead, stood on the outskirts of the town square, their hooded figures watching as we approached the familiar cobblestone streets. Where do we go from here? Margaret wondered aloud, her voice echoing in the stillness of the night. The spectral figure, appearing beside us once again, spoke in a voice that seemed to resonate with the very soul of Ravenswood. You must seek answers from the living, those who carry the echoes of the town's history in their hearts. Confront the descendants of the settlers and uncover the truths that remain hidden. With those cryptic words, the spectral figure dissipated into the night, leaving us with a sense of urgency. The carolers' melodies resumed, a haunting cadence that seemed to guide us toward the heart of Ravenswood's secrets. The gas lamps flickered as we made our way through the cobblestone streets, the snow crunching beneath our boots. The town, though seemingly untouched by the spectral journey, carried an air of expectancy, as if the very walls held the secrets of centuries past. The carolers, their hooded forms walking alongside us like silent guardians, led us to the heart of Ravenswood, the town hall. The building, its architecture reflecting the charm of a bygone era, stood as a silent witness to the unfolding drama. As we entered the town hall, the air seemed to thicken with anticipation. The carolers stood at the entrance, their silent presence a reminder of the choices we faced. The clock in the hallway chimed softly, its echoes resonating through the dimly lit corridor. Our footsteps echoed as we ascended the creaking stairs, guided by an unseen force toward the town record's room. The door, slightly ajar, creaked open as we approached, revealing a room filled with dusty volumes and weathered documents. Margaret and I exchanged a determined glance, the gravity of our task settling upon us. The carolers' melodies, now a soft hum in the background, seemed to encourage our inquiry. The room was bathed in the warm glow of lamplight as we sifted through the records. Each leather-bound volume held the whispers of Ravenswood's history, and the pages seemed to rustle with the echoes of long-forgotten secrets. Margaret, her fingers delicately turning the pages of an old ledger, spoke softly, "We need to find the descendants of the settlers, those who carry the legacy of Ravenswood's founding." I nodded in agreement, my eyes scanning the faded ink on the pages before me. The carolers, their hooded figures now standing like sentinels in the corners of the room, seemed to watch with silent anticipation. As we delved into the records, the names of Ravenswood's founding families emerged, the descendants who carried the burden of their ancestors' choices. The clock on the wall ticked away the minutes, a reminder of the urgency that lingered in the air. One name, in particular, caught our attention: the Whitman family, descendants of one of Ravenswood's original settlers. They seemed to be intricately woven into the fabric of the town's history. Margaret pointed to a passage in the ledger, her eyes widening with realization. The Whitmans have held positions of influence for generations. If there are answers to be found, they may hold the key. Determined, we set out to find the Whitman residence, guided by the melodies of the carolers that echoed through the snowy night. The gas lamps cast long shadows on the deserted streets as we approached the grand Victorian mansion that stood as a testament to the family's legacy. The carolers, their hooded forms lingering at a distance, seemed to convey a sense of approval as we ascended the steps to the Whitman residence. The door, adorned with an ornate knocker, loomed before us like a gateway to the town's hidden truths. Margaret raised the knocker, its resounding echo breaking the stillness of the night. The door creaked open, revealing a dimly lit foyer adorned with antique furniture and family portraits that stared down with watchful eyes. A middle-aged woman, bearing the unmistakable features of the Whitman lineage, appeared in the doorway. Her eyes, guarded and curious, fixed on us with a scrutiny that seemed to pierce through the layers of time. "May I help you?" she inquired, her voice carrying a sense of reserved authority. I cleared my throat, the weight of our inquiry pressing upon me. "We seek answers about Ravenswood's past, about the choices made by its founders. We believe the Whitman family may hold the key to uncovering the town's hidden truths." The woman's eyes narrowed, a mix of suspicion and curiosity playing across her features. "What do you know of our family's history?" Margaret stepped forward, her gaze unwavering. We've uncovered secrets that echo through the centuries. The carolers have guided us to confront the past, and we believe the Whitman family plays a pivotal role in unraveling Ravenswood's dark legacy. A tense silence hung in the air, the gas lamps flickering as if in response to the weight of the revelation. The woman's expression softened, a glimmer of recognition in her eyes. "You speak of the curse," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "The whispers of power, the choices made under the ancient oak. Our family has carried the burden of those secrets for generations." Margaret and I exchanged a glance, the pieces of the puzzle falling into place. The carolers, their melodies now a soft hum in the background, seemed to watch with silent approval. "We need your help to confront the past, to break the curse that binds Ravenswood," I implored, my voice carrying a sense of urgency. The woman sighed, her shoulders sagging under the weight of her family's history. "Follow me. If there are answers to be found, they lie within the depths of our family archives." She led us through the grand mansion, the dimly lit corridors revealing glimpses of a family history intertwined with the very fabric of Ravenswood. The carolers, their hooded forms now trailing behind us like silent guardians, seemed to guide our steps toward the heart of the Whitman legacy. The door to the family archives creaked open, revealing a room filled with dusty volumes, ancient manuscripts, and artifacts that spoke of a history veiled in shadows. The woman gestured toward a massive oak desk, its surface covered with aged documents. "Here you will find the truths that have long been concealed," she said, her voice heavy with the weight of responsibility. As we combed through the records, the carolers' melodies seemed to infuse the room with a spectral energy. The whispers of Ravenswood's history, now laid bare in the family archives, revealed a tale of ambition, betrayal, and the choices that had led to the town's curse. Margaret, her eyes scanning a particularly revealing document, spoke softly. "The Whitman family played a pivotal role in the founding of Ravenswood. The whispers of power, the clandestine gathering, it all points to a choice made by your ancestors." The woman nodded, her gaze fixed on the revelations before her. "The pact was forged in desperation, a desire for prosperity that blinded our ancestors to the consequences. The curse, unleashed on Christmas Eves, has haunted Ravenswood ever since." As we delved deeper into the family archives, the carolers' melodies took on a mournful quality. The choices of the Whitman family, intertwined with the very essence of Ravenswood, seemed to resonate with the haunting cadence of the songs. "We must confront the spirits of our ancestors, face the shadows of Ravenswood's past," the woman declared, her voice carrying a resolve born of generations of burden. Margaret and I nodded in agreement, a shared understanding passing between us. The carolers, their hooded forms standing like silent sentinels in the corners of the room, seemed to convey a sense of both guidance and expectation. The woman led us through a secret passage, hidden behind a bookshelf, that descended into the depths of the mansion. The air grew colder as we entered a subterranean chamber, the walls adorned with symbols that spoke of ancient rituals and the consequences of forbidden pacts. The carolers, their melodies now a soft hum in the background, stood at the entrance to the chamber, their hooded forms watching with silent intensity. The woman gestured toward a ritualistic circle drawn on the stone floor, its markings pulsating with an otherworldly energy. "To break the curse, we must confront the spirits that linger in this sacred space," she explained, her eyes reflecting the weight of the task ahead. As the clock in the chamber chimed midnight, the carolers' melodies rose to a haunting crescendo. The spirits of Ravenswood's founders, their ethereal forms materializing within the ritualistic circle, seemed to beckon us to face the shadows of the past. Margaret and I, our hearts heavy with the knowledge of Ravenswood's history, stepped into the circle. The carolers, their hooded figures now surrounding us like a spectral choir, began to sing a mournful melody that seemed to transcend time itself. The spirits of the Whitman ancestors, their faces etched with the choices that had led to the curse, gazed upon us with a mixture of sorrow and expectation. The ancient oak, its influence stretching into the subterranean chamber, seemed to pulse with the heartbeat of Ravenswood. The woman, standing beside us, spoke in a voice that resonated with the echoes of her family's history. "Confront the spirits, unravel the choices made under the ancient oak. and free Ravenswood from the curse that binds it. The carolers' melodies became an ethereal symphony, a bridge between the present and the ghosts of Christmas past. The spirits, their forms flickering like candle flames, began to reveal the depths of their desperation and the consequences of their choices. As the haunting song reached its climax, the spirits of the Whitman ancestors turned toward us, their eyes filled with a mixture of gratitude and release. The carolers' melodies, now a soft hum that seemed to linger in the very stones of the chamber, echoed the tranquility that settled upon the room. The ancient oak, its influence waning, seemed to release Ravenswood from the shackles of its dark history. The gas lamps in the chamber flickered as if in acknowledgement, and the air became charged with a sense of redemption. The carolers, their hooded forms now standing at the entrance of the chamber, watched with silent approval. The spirits of the Whitman ancestors, their ethereal forms dissipating like morning mists, seemed to ascend toward a realm beyond the reach of Ravenswood's curse. Margaret and I, our hearts lighter with the knowledge that redemption was possible, stepped out of the ritualistic circle. The woman, her eyes reflecting a sense of closure, nodded in acknowledgement. "The curse has been lifted," she whispered, her voice carrying the weight of generations freed from the shadows. As we ascended from the subterranean chamber, the carolers' melodies accompanied us like a benediction. The mansion, now veiled in a soft glow, seemed to embrace the newfound peace that settled upon Ravenswood. The gas lamps in the town square flickered, their warm light casting long shadows on the cobblestone streets. The carolers, their hooded forms standing like silent sentinels, watched as we emerged from the Whitman residence. The woman, her gaze filled with a sense of gratitude, spoke softly. "Ravenswood owes you a debt of gratitude. The town is free from the curse that haunted its Christmas eves." Margaret and I exchanged a glance, a shared understanding that our journey had come full circle. The carolers, their melodies now fading into the night, seemed to convey a sense of closure and completion. As we walked through the snow-covered streets of Ravenswood, the air carried a newfound stillness. The gas lamps, once flickering with an otherworldly energy, now stood as beacons of warmth against the cold winter night. The town, now released from the echoes of its past, seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. Ravenswood, though scarred by the choices of its founders, had found redemption in the face of desperate inquiry and the unraveling of its darkest secrets. The carolers, their hooded forms merging with the shadows of the night, disappeared into the mists of Ravenswood. The ancient oak, its branches reaching toward the stars, stood as a silent witness to the town's journey from the depths of despair to the embrace of newfound hope. As Margaret and I entered our cottage, the hearth's warm glow welcomed us home. The clock on the wall, its ticking now a comforting cadence, marked the passing of time. The weight of Ravenswood's history had lifted, and the silent night embraced the town in a peaceful slumber. The carolers, though gone from sight, had left behind a legacy of redemption. Ravenswood, now free from the shadows of its past, stood as a testament to the enduring power of desperate inquiry and the courage to confront the ghosts of Christmas past. The morning sun cast a soft glow over Ravenswood, its golden rays glistening on the snow-covered landscape. The town, once shrouded in the shadows of its dark past, seemed to breathe a sigh of relief as a newfound sense of tranquility settled upon its quaint streets. Margaret and I, having played our part in unraveling the curse that haunted Ravenswood, walked through the town square. The gas lamps, their warm light now reflecting the peace that lingered in the air, stood as silent witnesses to the events of the previous night. As we'd approached the ancient oak, its branches reaching toward the clear blue sky, a sense of closure washed over us. The carolers, their hooded figures absent from the morning light, had left behind an indelible mark on Ravenswood's history. The town hall, once a repository of secrets and hidden truths, stood as a symbol of redemption. The grand Victorian mansion of the Whitman family, veiled in a soft morning mist, seemed to carry the weight of its history with a newfound grace. The gas lamps flickered with a gentle warmth as we ascended the steps to the Whitman residence. The door, now a portal to a family legacy unburdened by the curse, opened with a welcoming creak. The woman from the Whitman family, her demeanor transformed by the events of the previous night, greeted us with a genuine smile. Ravenswood owes you a debt of gratitude. The town is free from the shadows that haunted its Christmas Eves. Margaret and I exchanged a glance, a shared acknowledgement of the journey that had led us to this moment. The woman gestured toward the family archives room, now bathed in the morning light. The truth has set Ravenswood free, she said, her voice carrying a sense of closure. The choices of our ancestors, laid bare by your desperate inquiry, have paved the way for a new chapter in our town's history. As we entered the room that had once held the weight of centuries-old secrets, the air seemed lighter, the dust motes dancing in the sunbeams like ethereal spirits released from their long confinement. The carolers' melodies, though absent, echoed in the quiet corners of our memories. Margaret and I joined the woman at the oak desk, its surface now cleared of the dusty volumes that had held the echoes of Ravenswood's past. The woman opened a small, ornate box, revealing a collection of family heirlooms that spoke of a history intertwined with the very fabric of the town. Generations carried the burden of the pact forged under the ancient oak, she explained, her fingers tracing the lines of an old family crest. But now, thanks to your courage, Ravenswood is free from the chains that bound it. The gas lamps in the room, their light now softened by the morning sun, seemed to flicker in acknowledgement. Margaret, her gaze fixed on the family heirlooms, spoke softly. The carolers guided us, and in confronting the past, we've uncovered the roots of the curse that haunted Ravenswood. The woman nodded, a mixture of gratitude and relief in her eyes. The pact, born out of desperation and a desire for prosperity, led our ancestors to make choices that stained the very foundation of Ravenswood. But you've given us a chance for redemption, a path to break free from the shadows that clung to our town. As we delved into the family heirlooms, each artifact revealed a chapter of Ravenswood's history, the whispers of power, the clandestine gathering under the ancient oak, and the choices that had set the curse in motion were now preserved as a testament to the town's resilience. The clock in the room chimed softly, its echoes a reminder of the passing of time and the transformation that had occurred in the heart of Ravenswood. The gas lamps, their flickering light a silent witness to the events of the night, seemed to cast a warm embrace over the room. Margaret and I, our hearts lighter with the knowledge that Ravenswood had found redemption, bid farewell to the woman. As we descended the stairs of the Whitman residence, the town square spread before us in a picturesque tableau of winter beauty. The carolers, their hooded figures absent from sight, had left behind a legacy that transcended the boundaries of time. Ravenswood, now free from the curse that had haunted its Christmas Eves, stood as a town reborn. The ancient oak, its branches reaching toward the heavens, seemed to breathe with a newfound vitality. The gas lamps in the town square, their light now a beacon of hope, cast long shadows that danced in the morning light. As we approached our cottage, the heart's warm glow welcomed us home. The clock on the wall, its ticking now a comforting cadence, marked the rhythm of Ravenswood's newfound peace. Margaret and I, having played our part in the unraveling of the town's dark past, sat by the fire. The events of the night, the carolers' haunting melodies, and the revelations from the family archives lingered in our thoughts. The pact, born out of desperation, led Ravenswood down a dark path. Margaret reflected, her eyes fixed on the dancing flames. But confronting the past has given the town a chance at redemption. I nodded in agreement, the weight of the journey settling upon us like a blanket of snow. The carolers guided us, and in facing the shadows, we freed Ravenswood from the chains of its history. The town can now embrace a future unburdened by the curses of Christmas past. The clock struck noon, its chimes echoing through the silent cottage. Ravenswood, now at peace, seemed to embrace the stillness of the winter afternoon. The gas lamps in the town square continued to cast their warm light, a testament to the enduring spirit of a town that had faced the shadows and emerged into the light. As the day unfolded, the townsfolk emerged from their homes, the weight of the curse lifted from their shoulders. Laughter echoed in the streets, children played in the snow, and the gas lamps stood as sentinels of a town that had found solace in the face of desperate inquiry. The carolers, though absent from sight, had left behind a legacy that lingered in the hearts of Ravenswood's inhabitants. The ancient oak, its branches now adorned with a fresh layer of snow, stood as a silent witness to the town's journey from darkness to light. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a soft palette of colors across the winter sky, Margaret and I walked through the town square. The gas lamps flickered in the fading light, their warm glow a reminder of the night that had changed Ravenswood's destiny. The carolers, their hooded figures now shrouded in the shadows, appeared at the edge of the town square. The haunting melodies, though softer than before, echoed through the evening air. Margaret and I exchanged a glance, a silent acknowledgement of the carolers' presence. The lead caroller, its featureless face turned toward us, nodded in approval. The gas lamps flickered in response, as if joining in the silent chorus of gratitude. The carolers' melodies, a symphony of redemption and hope, filled the town square. Ravenswood, now free from the shackles of its dark past, seemed to dance to the rhythm of the ethereal tunes. As the clock struck midnight, the carolers' song reached its crescendo. The ancient oak, its branches silhouetted against the winter night, stood as a testament to the enduring power of desperate inquiry and the courage to confront the ghosts of Christmas past. Margaret and I, hand in hand, watched as the carolers' hooded forms merged with the shadows. The gas lamps in the town square cast a warm and steady light, a symbol of the newfound peace that enveloped Ravenswood. The carolers, though fading from sight, left behind a town reborn. The ancient oak, its branches now still in the winter night, seemed to whisper a silent benediction over Ravenswood. As Margaret and I entered our cottage, the hearth's warm glow embraced us. The clock on the wall, its ticking now a lullaby of tranquility, marked the passing of Ravenswood's first night free from the curse. As we closed the door, the carolers' melodies lingered in the air, a reminder of the town's journey from the depths of despair to the embrace of newfound hope. The gas lamps outside continued to cast their warm light, standing as beacons against the silent night. Ravenswood, having confronted the shadows of its past, now stood as a testament to the enduring spirit of a town that had faced the darkest hour and emerged into the dawn of a new era. The carolers, though gone from sight, had left behind a legacy that transcended the boundaries of time, a melody that would forever echo in the hearts of those who had witnessed the redemption of Christmas in the small, snowbound town. The days following the redemption of Ravenswood were bathed in a serene calm. The snow-covered town, now free from the shadows of its dark past, seemed to breathe with a newfound vitality. The gas lamps in the town square, once flickering with an otherworldly energy, now stood as beacons of warmth against the winter night. Margaret and I, having played our part in unraveling the curse that haunted Ravenswood, spent the days exploring the town. The carolers, their hooded figures absent from sight, had left behind an indelible mark on the town's history, and their haunting melodies lingered in the air like a gentle echo. As we strolled through the town square, the townsfolk greeted us with smiles and nods of gratitude. Ravenswood, now liberated from the chains of its history, embraced a sense of community that transcended the scars of Christmas Eves long past. The ancient oak, its branches now free from the weight of curses, stood as a silent witness to the town's journey from darkness to light. The gas lamps, their warm light casting long shadows on the snow-covered cobblestones, seemed to dance in celebration of Ravenswood's redemption. One crisp morning, as the sun bathed the town square in a golden glow, a sense of tranquility enveloped Ravenswood. The carolers, their hooded forms now appearing as gentle apparitions in the corners of the town, beckoned us toward the heart of the square. The lead caroller, its featureless face turned toward us, nodded in acknowledgement. The gas lamps flickered with a subtle energy, as if responding to the ethereal presence of the carolers. Margaret and I approached the lead caroller, a silent understanding passing between us. The melodies, though softer than before, carried a sense of guidance. The town is grateful for what you've done, but the journey is not yet complete. The lead caroller intoned, its voice a harmonious blend of unseen echoes. A sense of urgency tinged the air as the carolers' melodies took on a solemn quality. The gas lamps flickered in response, casting long shadows that seemed to stretch toward the edges of the town square. Margaret's eyes met mine, a shared understanding of the task that lay ahead. The lead coroller gestured toward the ancient oak, its branches now gently swaying in the winter breeze. The roots of redemption lie beneath the surface, where the choices of Ravenswood's founders were sealed. You must descend into the depths of the town, confront the very heart of its history, before the echoes of midnight awaken once more. The urgency in the lead caroller's words spurred us into action. The gas lamps, their light now pulsating with an otherworldly energy, guided our steps toward the heart of Ravenswood's secrets. As we descended into the subterranean chambers below the town, the air grew colder, and the gas lamps cast eerie shadows on the stone walls. The carolers, their melodies now a soft hum in the background, seemed to watch with silent intensity. The subterranean chamber revealed a network of tunnels that crisscrossed beneath Ravenswood. The gas lamps, though dimmer in the depths, cast a faint glow that guided our way. The lead coroller spoke once more, its voice resonating through the underground passages. The race against midnight has begun. Uncover the truths that lie hidden beneath the surface, for the choices made under the ancient oak continue to echo through the town's foundations. Margaret and I, our determination unwavering, delved into the labyrinthine tunnels. The gas lamps flickered, casting long shadows that seemed to dance with the echoes of the town's past. As we explored the subterranean depths, the carolers' melodies became a guiding force. Each turn in the tunnels revealed a layer of Ravenswood's history, the whispers of power, the clandestine gathering, and the choices that had set the curse in motion. The gas lamps, though flickering with an ethereal energy, seemed to lead us toward a central chamber. The carolers' melodies, now reaching a haunting crescendo, urged us onward. In the heart of the chamber, beneath the roots of the ancient oak, lay a forgotten altar. Symbols and markings adorned the stone surface, telling a tale of rituals and pacts forged in desperation. The lead coroller, its hooded form standing at the edge of the chamber, spoke in a voice that reverberated through the stone walls. The pact that bound Ravenswood to its curse was sealed here. Confront the echoes of the choices made under the ancient oak, and free the town from the shackles of midnight. Margaret and I exchanged a determined glance as we approached the forgotten altar. The gas lamps, their light now an otherworldly glow, cast long shadows that seemed to reach toward the roots of the ancient oak. The carolers' melodies reached a haunting climax, and the symbols on the altar seemed to pulsate with an ethereal energy. Ravenswood, now shrouded in the silence of the subterranean chamber, awaited the final act of redemption. As the clock above ground struck midnight, the gas lamps in the subterranean chamber flickered. The lead coroller, its hooded form now standing beside us, gestured toward the altar. Confront the spirits of Ravenswood's founders. Unravel the choices that bound the town to its curse, and let the echoes of midnight fade into the depths of history. The carolers' melodies became a mournful symphony, and the altar seemed to emanate a spectral energy. The gas lamps, their glow now pulsating with an otherworldly force, cast a soft light on the underground chamber. The spirits of Ravenswood's founders, their ethereal forms materializing in the chamber, gazed upon us with eyes haunted by the choices of Christmas Eves long past. The lead coroller, its voice now a solemn echo, urged us to confront the echoes of the town's history. The spirits spoke, their voices merging with the carolers' haunting melodies. Betrayals, desperation, and the desire for prosperity had led Ravenswood down a path of darkness. The choices made under the ancient oak, now laid bare in a subterranean chamber, revealed the roots of the curse that bound the town. Margaret and I, our hearts heavy with the weight of Ravenswood's history, faced the spirits with a determination to break the chains that bound the town to its past. As the carolers' melodies reached a mournful climax, the spirits of Ravenswood's founders turned toward the altar. The gas lamps flickered, casting long shadows that seemed to dance with the spectral energy in the chamber. The lead coroller spoke once more, its voice carrying the weight of the town's redemption. In confronting the echoes of midnight, you have unraveled the choices that sealed Ravenswood's fate. The town is now free from the shackles of its history. The spirits, their ethereal forms dissipating like morning mist, ascended toward a realm beyond the reach of curses. The gas lamps, their glow now steady, cast a warm light on the subterranean chamber. Margaret and I, our journey through the depths of Ravenswood's history complete, ascended from the underground tunnels. The gas lamps in the town square greeted us with a steady glow, casting long shadows that seemed to dance in celebration. The carolers, their hooded figures now standing at the entrance of the chamber, watched with silent approval. The ancient oak, its branches now still in a winter night, stood as a silent witness to Ravenswood's final act of redemption. As Margaret and I emerged into the town square, the carolers' melodies lingered in the air, a soft hum that seemed to echo the tranquility that settled upon Ravenswood. The gas lamps, though absent of the ethereal energy that had guided us, stood as beacons of hope against the winter night. The lead caroller, his featureless face turned toward us, nodded in acknowledgement. The gas lamps flickered in response, casting a warm and steady light that embraced the town. The carolers, though fading from sight, left behind a legacy that transcended the boundaries of time. Ravenswood, now free from the shadows of its past, stood as a town reborn. The ancient oak, its branches reaching toward the stars, whispered a silent benediction over the winter night. As Margaret and I entered our cottage, the hearth's warm glow welcomed us home. The clock on the wall, its ticking now a lullaby of tranquility, marked the passing of Ravenswood's first night free from the shackles of midnight. The carolers, though gone from sight, had left behind a town that had confronted the echoes of its history and emerged into the dawn of a new era. Ravenswood, now bathed in the soft glow of redemption, slept peacefully beneath the winter stars.